team, look, offensively, they're absolutely ridiculous. The flow that they play with, they transition from their transition game right into offense. They're a terrific passing team. Jalen Suggs, to me, is the number one pick in the NBA draft. He's a grown man, and Cade Cunningham's been terrific. But his ability his strength, his toughness, his ability to get to the rim, his ability to make big shots, he defends. They don't have a weakness offensively. Now, you saw yesterday a weakness defensively. Now, they cleaned it up a little bit in the second half. They were a step behind every single play in the first half. If you're playing against a like-type athletes, you can't spot up 12 points at halftime. If you're playing against a team that's not going to turn it over, you can't spot up 12 points at halftime. If you're playing against a team that gets good shots so they have floor balance so they can take you out of transition, you can't spot up 12 points. Do I think that they're the most talented offensive team in the country? Yes. Do I think they could win a national championship? Yes. And, Jay Will, we used to have this conversation all the time. They needed to have their temperature raised. They did respond, but there's a difference between having your temperature raised by BYU and having your temperature raised by Baylor or Michigan or Ohio State or any of the teams that have like-type athletes that have a physicality to their game. So, look, they're terrific. They could win a national championship, but they needed more games like this. They haven't played a competitive game since December 26th. They had a great non-conference schedule. I mean, they played Iowa, Virginia, and West Virginia, and Kansas. They were supposed to play Baylor, and they took care of business.
Seth,
that's a long time without having your temperature raised.
You said they can win a championship. Will they win a championship? Will they be one of the first teams since 2018 to be undefeated and win the whole damn thing? Is it time for this to happen?
In this crazy year, it might be time. But I think there are teams out there I'd take the field in a heartbeat, because of exactly that, because Baylor is so good defensively, because Michigan, if Eli Brooks comes back, has a low-post player that can bang and move his feet with Timmy, protect the rim, and, oh, by the way, they got these floor gamers all over the court. Like Baylor's just different, man. They got 5 guards. I mean, you look at Baylor's one of the few teams that when Kispert goes to 4, which he plays a majority of the time now, it becomes an absolute matchup nightmare. They have no problem matching up with him. The same thing with Michigan. Like, if you don't have a guy that can defend Kispert at 4, you have no chance to beat Gonzaga because of the way he plays all over the floor, the way he trails breaks and they flip it back to him and he knocking down threes. But, like, Michigan and Baylor have that. Like, Michigan's got 2 guys at the wings, and Isaiah Livers and Franz Wagner. Right? Those dudes can guard anyone. So they match up well. So, I would say I'm still taking the field, but I wouldn't be shocked if Gonzaga wins it all. I mean, this is a special offensive team, historically good. The number of guys who can make a play. I mean, we don't even talk about Joel Yayi, and he's got the only triple-double in the history of Gonzaga basketball.
Every year, though, Coach, we talk about Gonzaga, right? It seems like that we get to this point in tournament time, and we got Gonzaga right there, but it seems like it always ends in a little bit of misery for them. Why is that? What makes you feel that they're going to get over the hump this year?
Their in this season, maturity is a premium. Their maturity, their resilience, their offensive skill is so ridiculous. It's ridiculous how they play. They play like a good NBA team in terms of their flow. Their spacing is unbelievable. Timmy's a matchup problem because his footwork around the basket. They score 51 points a game in the paint. They shoot 64, and their effective field goal percentage is 64%. I mean, they've got scorers and playmakers and floor gamers and shot makers all over the court. So this team offensively, I do have concerns about defensively, but I do think that, when we say, well, they have won a championship, and, Jay, well, you won one, you lost one. But it's hard, man. Our sport is hard. There's not 10 teams you got to beat, or there's not 2 games you got to win. Like in football, I mean, you can't have a bad day. You can't have a bad day. You have a bad day. Once you get to that second round, there's a more level playing field. And, scouting is so good. And you can, the 3-point shot is an equalizer. So it's really hard, but they've been to Elite Eights. They've been to Final Fours. They've been consistently good, but compared, let's put it this way. I mean, that's Gonzaga. That's not Duke. That's North Carolina. That's not Kentucky. And those guys have hard times to win it also. and with far greater traditions. So, I just think this team is unique. It's really unique.
The coach, Seth Greenberg, joining us on Keyshawn, Jay, Will, and Zubin. Coach, we've been talking about over the last couple weeks, right? Juwan Howard, Michigan, oh, my God, they're going to do it. Fab Five, here we go. Oh, big change. What the hell has happened to them over the last week?
I think they're just fine. Eli Brooks going down in the Michigan State game was huge. It was huge. People understand they lost to Minnesota when Eli Brooks was down. See, they play with 2 point guards. And, having a second ball handler takes a little bit of pressure off of Smith and everyone else. You've got his leadership, another defender. It impacts your lineup. So the health of Eli Brooks is for real. But I have no problem. Our sport, you're going to lose games. And, in the Big Ten, there's a cumulative effect of that league that just wears you down. You're playing a Michigan State team that was absolutely desperate. Absolutely desperate. Now, what Tom Izzo's done with that team is off the charts. I mean, it's insane. But I have no problems with Michigan right now. I still think that Juwan Howard's the National Coach of the Year. I still think that what he's done with Hunter Dickinson is absolutely incredible. I think the joy that they play with, that those wing guys, when you got a 6'8" and a 6'9" wing guy that can put it on the floor, make threes, defend, play off the ball, play on the ball, and then you complement them with 2 point guards and an immovable object in Hunter Dickinson. I mean, that's a hard lineup to play against. And the guys that come off the bench do what Coach Holland used to tell me all the time when I was at Virginia. The guys who come off the bench have to be able to do one of two things. They either have to change the tempo of the game like Sean Brown does, or they've got to be mistake-free guys, the guys that just flat out buy into their roles. Defend and rebound. And they have it. They've got a nice, tight 8-man rotation. I'm not worried about Michigan at all. I can see Michigan at the Elite Eight, Final Four, and compete for a national championship.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN Plus right now.